Welcome to Milk and Mummies podcast. This podcast was created simply because I found myself happily pregnant and self-employed and wondering, how was I gonna juggle it all? Get comfy as we talk all things motherhood, working for yourself, and finding that elusive balance, honestly. Hi.
Hello.
We did it. If you guys have no idea how long we've been trying to schedule this.
I know. Before Christmas.
Yeah, oh my God.
Way before.
Yeah, but I'm very happy that we're here.
Yes.
Do you want to tell us who you are and what you do?
Oh my God. So I am Lauren Johnson Reynolds. I have been a singer for years.
Whoop, whoop.
So toured and had all of that, did all that life. And then after a few years, I was like, do you know what? I want something else. So I went back to college and I retrained. And I now, as well as the singing work, I work as a nutritional therapist and homeopath, and I specialise in women's health.
Amazing. Look at that. How difficult was it to go back to retrain? Just because you've been living your life and working successfully, you're great there. To make that redirection, what was that like?
I loved it.
Yeah.
I really loved it, and it was an amazing experience.
Mm-hmm.
But I had to get my brain back in that learning space because I hadn't been in it for so long. So I had to really retrain my brain to learn, and it all got easier very quickly. But it was like, okay, oh my God, I need to retain this information. It's not just lyrics; it's like science.
What were you like at school, and did that part of yourself resurface in this space?
Oh, I'm such a geek.
So I don't care. I love it. I'm here for it. I don't care.
I love learning and I love geeking out and just taking information in.
Yeah.
So that was very, that was kind of brought up again in me, and
Nice.
I just threw myself into it. But it was hard because I was actually touring at that time.
Yeah, okay.
Quite a lot.
Yeah.
And I was actually taking my books with me, and these books are like hench.
Yeah.
And I was taking them on the tour bus and dragging them around, and it was just, I was planning my wedding. It was just like, oh my God.
Everything all at once.
Yeah, but I had to do it.
Oh my days.
Yeah.
Right, so I know you've, sorry, I'm not going to lie. I feel like whatever people do with this pod, I'm also asking you just to plug yourself shamelessly. Yes, you did say you sing and you tour. That's awesome. But I know you also have a band.
Yes.
You manage your business. How's
do.
that?
It's going really well. So Next Level Music is, so my husband runs it. We kind of put it together.
Yeah.
But it's his baby
Okay.
now, really. I can't do anymore. And he's got all the bright ideas, so I'm like, that's your thing now.
Yeah.
But it's going really well. It's a show band, and
Awesome.
we do some really great events, getting a lot of great travel opportunities, although I don't tend to end up getting to do that because I tend to stay at home with Ray. But they went to Bali last year. Like, they're getting some really, really nice jobs. But it's been years of hard graft and making connections, and I'm very, very proud of what Tim has put together.
Yeah. And I mean, I have to say anyone who's self-employed, anyone who runs a business knows this. It's just like the years of the blood, sweat and tears, like there's no escaping that whatsoever. And then when things kind of kick into a space where, you do get to travel or whatever the perks are in your industry, when that starts to come, it does feel like it can not necessarily be overwhelming, but it can be there in abundance, which is beautiful. But I think watching it can be it's easy to forget what it could have taken that person to get to that spot.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
And it has taken blood, sweat and tears.
There we go.
And Tim has literally put everything into it. You know, he didn't get any help in the pandemic.
Yeah, of course.
So
okay.
It was like he lost that business and he got nothing from the government, and he had to just throw everything into it so that it came back stronger. Yeah. And he's done it.
Amazing.
And it's incredible.
Oh, self-employed life.
I know.
It is great. I'm not going to lie. I do love it still, but our challenges are, special. Yeah. But I wanted you here just to pick your brains and talk to you about all things motherhood and balancing that creative space and work and life that you have. And I guess I wanted to dig into how you're finding it, how you're coping with it, and any tips, tricks, hacks that you can share with people. So I know you've mentioned your little one's name, Ray.
Yes.
You are gorgeously glowing because you're pregnant again at the moment.
Thank
How
you.
are you doing?
Oh my God. I think pregnancy with a toddler is a very different experience.
How is that?
It's hard. I've definitely found pregnancy harder this time.
Okay. All right,
also, we're having a boy, and I don't know if that has a bearing on how I felt in the first trimester. I definitely felt more nauseous and struggled more with
Okay, this time round, right?
This time round,
Okay.
I definitely felt more 24/7
Yeah.
nausea, which was kind of crazy. But I'm over obviously that now. But just physically, I think I've gotten bigger quicker.
Okay.
So I've had a bit more of like the aches and pains. And then I've got Ray coming back from nursery, bringing all her germs. So I just feel like I've just been constantly ill. But obviously I'm grateful for the experience. And, you know, with my history of being told at 14 that I probably wouldn't ever get pregnant naturally, for me to now be on my second natural pregnancy is just like such a blessing. So even though it's tough, I'm just trying to be grateful and remember,
I get it.
you know.
I mean, I'm sure you've told this story a number of times. I'm going to ask again. But I wanted to know, what was that like receiving that news at 14?
Oh, my God. Yeah, it was pretty soul-destroying, to be honest.
Yeah.
And I think people probably maybe don't understand why I would have been so distraught at 14, because it's not like I was looking to start a family at 14. But I knew that I wanted to be a mum, and I was so adamant that was my path, like a huge part of my life. So to be told that, it was really devastating. And I really, like I say this a lot, but for me it was like a dark cloud, and I carried that. No matter what I was doing or how happy I was, it was always in the back of my mind. I was like, I'm not going to be able to have kids. And it was something that I wanted so much. So it was really, really tough.
For context, and just to make sure I'm right, you have PCOS, right?
So polycystic ovary syndrome. So with that, it can cause fertility issues. But the way the doctor said it to me, it was like it was a given. And this is kind of the information that still is given out really readily. It's like 20 years on, and the same misinformation is being told to women. And, you know, yes, it can cause issues, but there's so much that we can do. And when I went and retrained, I learned what was going on inside my body and what I could do. And literally through like diet, lifestyle, supplements, I got my ovulation back, and then I got pregnant. So
it's just wild. Again, another phenomenal, and even I guess sad to an extent, but one thing with this pod and speaking to different women with different issues or just different challenges on their journey, it's amazing what you're told, and I guess the matter-of-factness of how things are told to you versus what you can actually go and research and learn and gather from speaking to people or just Googling or whatever, however you get your research, and then being able to sort of find a balance for yourself or kind of find ways to shape what you want in the best way that you can. And I understand that our healthcare systems have pressures and stresses and all that kinds of stuff, but it's just devastating how information can just be given out and it's like next and off you go and that's literally. It. So if, as you said, you received that at such a young age, it has impacted your mental health or how you carry yourself. And if you had stayed in that space, then that just would have been it.
That would have been it.
And your life would have just taken that a different direction.
Period. And I hear from women all the time saying, my doctor told me when I was 17 that either, you know, it probably won't happen for me, and so I never bothered trying, and now I'm in my 40s and I know it's too late. Or the doctor told me to get on with it and try and get pregnant now, and that was really bad advice because I was too young. And I hear these two separate kind of narratives where it could have gone either way. I hear people having had babies too young and then that affecting their lives and their babies' lives.
Of course.
Or they're not trying at all and then the opportunity's missed because of something that one person GP might have said to them
one Wednesday afternoon, just getting the patients in.
It's so crazy, but our medical system is not. It's not centred on like prevention. It's just centred on like fighting fires, and so we're really lucky that we have that. And if we're in an accident, we can go and get life-saving treatment. When it comes to things like this, it's just very much like one size fits all. Yeah,
which is such a shame, which is mad. But congratulations, Ray is hilarious and gorgeous, and I love all the information that I see about you guys. How does she I guess deal with both you and Tim working in the spaces that you do?
She knows no different.
Yeah.
And I think you'll probably find that as well on other parents in this space. This is what they know. And so because initially I did take her with me on like when I was going abroad for gigs.
Nice.
And so she was 8 months old when she first came out. Which was really cool, but really hard because it's obviously amazing to have your baby with you.
Yeah.
And I was breastfeeding and being able to do that.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, there's absolutely no downtime.
Okay.
So it's not like you can get to your hotel room and rest a little bit before you need to go for sound check.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, in my hotel room is my baby and I have to make sure everything's sorted out before I go. So it is quite tough, but obviously I was so grateful that I was able to do that and take her. But then once she was on her feet, it's not that easy to it's not that easy to take her around, and she grew up really fast. So we just had to kind of get into the space where one of us might be away at different times, but she's so used to it. She doesn't bat an eye, honestly.
Amazing.
Like, she's just so adaptable.
Yeah.
It's like, mama's not going to be here. Okay. Daddy's not going to be here. Okay.
Yeah.
She gets on with it.
Right. So I guess that's what we've got to. That's what we've got to look. I guess what we've got coming up, not so much what to look forward to. I guess right now, Zena is used to. Daddy goes off to work because obviously Max is still gigging. If I ever am filming or on set, so far they've been able to come with me. So travel has been a part of her life already really early. And again, that's something she's adapted to really nicely. And if she's ever able to be on set as well, it's been phenomenal. Just her not even really be bothered about what's going on.
Yeah.
But when she does kind of show an interest as to what's going on, or the lights or the cameras or this rig going over here and that, it's been really, really sweet and really fun to see. But it's worked so nicely so far because, again, if one person's off doing their job in that sphere, the other one's at home or has her, or she can come along. So that's been a nice balance.
Yeah.
I'm hopeful that it continues that way. I'm just curious as to sort of see what it's like the older she gets, as to not how difficult it's going to be, but she's got stuff to do in her own little baby world.
Yes.
So it's going to be interesting to see that balance.
Definitely. And that's kind of why I stopped taking Ray with me, because she grew up so fast, like I said, and she's so inquisitive. She's a very energetic child. I just, like, she came to a festival recently in the summer.
Oh, nice.
And that was really nice, and she loved it. But my poor mum was running around after that girl. Like, they just want to explore, don't they? So it's tricky, but, you know, if they don't know any different, for them it's completely normal. And, you know, if you've got family help, like my mum and dad will take Ray, like she'll stay at theirs, and that helps so much. I know if me and Tim both need to be away, I know she's fine. I don't have to worry. We do not have to. Honestly, there's no concern.
Yeah, that's
because
nice.
it's like a home from home. Like she will stand in her room calling for my mum in the morning.
Oh,
like,
sweet.
She's obsessed with my parents.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that helps so much. Like, she's fine.
Yeah. With you saying that, have you noticed any differences? I know grandparents bore the kids and whatever else, but when you see your parents behaving with Ray, do you have any, I want to say childhood trauma, that's ridiculous because everybody has trauma, I get it. But, you know, wait a minute, you would never let me get away with that, or I couldn't do this. Yeah, okay, cool.
My dad is a different man. Honestly, I look at him, I'm like, I don't know who you are. No, it's actually crazy. With us, my dad was always quite, like, I don't remember too much when I was younger. My mum says, like, he was very fun with you, and I do remember him being fun with us and stuff. But my dad he's quite a stoic kind of person. You know, he's quite serious, quite quiet. And then with Ray, he's doing all these little voices. I'm like, love it. What? It's so weird. But yeah, very different. Very, very different. But it's lovely.
Yeah. Slight disclaimer, guys. I forgot to say, if you're hearing a little humming, it's because there is a fan on at the moment. But just, you know what we're like on this pod. Just, it's cool. It's fine.
Sorry, pregnancy heat. Oh my God.
It's cool. Do you know what? On an episode, I mentioned ASMR, and I feel like suddenly there's been lots of ASMR things happening. So this is just adding to the vibe.
Oh, there'll be loads from my, like, congested nose and my clicky throat.
Beautiful stuff.
Yeah.
Typically, I ask people what they were doing before motherhood, if they knew that they wanted to do it. But with you were already in music, working in that space, and baby came along. What was that first pregnancy? What was that experience like? Just, I guess, I don't know, the things that you thought would happen, wouldn't happen, expectations, realities. What was that like?
I thought I would be able to work for longer. I thought I'd be able to gig for longer. And I actually found it really difficult because of the way that I carried. So once I had Ray, I found out that my uterus is quite thin. And so the way she grew, she just grew out. So in front of me. So the stretch was insane. Like, from the back, you would not have known I was pregnant. And so standing on my feet was so painful. So I had to stop working actually way earlier than I planned to. So that was kind of a surprise. And I had to really, obviously, you know, think about the financial implications of that. But thank God I had my other business. And I mean, that's why I set it up, because I knew I wanted that flexibility for when I had children. I did find pregnancy a bit more kind of anxious than I think I expected it to be.
Why is that?
I think obviously the threat of something going wrong is always there in a pregnancy, and you do hear so many people have losses and things like that. But then also for me, because of what I'd been told at 14, I didn't really part of me was like, well, if I did lose this pregnancy, could it happen again? Was this just a fluke?
Okay.
And then I also had the thing where it was like, well, all my life, my body's never really done what it was supposed to in that respect. I've never had a 28-day period or cycle, you know. I've never had those norms. So I thought, well, how is it going to carry this baby, this pregnancy? So I had a lot of fear in my pregnancy, but I did enjoy it. And I think I was really lucky because it was at the kind of tail end of the pandemic. So it was quite chilled. Didn't really have to do very much. This one has been a bit more different because work's been kind of still there.
And toddler as well, isn't it?
And having a toddler. So yeah, but I don't think pregnancy for me has been a negative experience.
Awesome.
I don't think I'm a person who's like, I love being pregnant.
Okay.
And it's hard. I think it's hard for women to admit that. But
it's true, and it's kind of like it's really weird. I think you're right. It's hard for women to admit that. I almost want to say we tend to do. I want to make this make sense as well, which is also very questionable with me sometimes when I'm speaking. But it's kind of like, it's true. Sometimes I find that it's hard for women to kind of be in a space where they're super positive about what they're going through, even if that's what they're experiencing. People tend to always want to sit and lean into the negative, almost because it's the status quo. But then also, if you're having a negative experience about something, that's actually also okay to express.
Yeah.
So I feel like we just sit in this weird space where we're not quite telling our truth, but we are, but we're not. But it is what it is. If it was a shit time, it's a shit time. If it was a stunningly beautiful time, then that's what it was. And I think it's important just to share and just kind of say.
Yeah, I do agree.
Yeah, it's just, it's weird where it's like, I feel bad saying that it was great. Just say it.
I know.
And if we're shit, we're shit.
Why do we feel the need to downplay our positives?
I have no idea. I don't know if it's a British culture thing, which sometimes I think it is. Because even in work, pre-pandemic, I found myself in LA quite a lot because I would go and train there and do classes or whatever else. And in that space, whatever people are working on, whether it's a commercial, whether it's just going to classes, whether they've landed their first TV role, whatever, people said that with their chest, standing on all 10 toes, very happy, and they celebrated that. And then whenever I'd come back to the UK and I'd still I would have absorbed some of that energy, it was always just weird because typically I find British actors are, oh, and I just did that thing, you know. Yeah, it was all right. Yeah, it was good. Yeah, no, I guess it was good. Dude, you just landed this thing or booked this theatre show. That's amazing. Like, celebrate it.
It's embarrassment.
So,
like, what is it about?
It's like the more, like, you can still celebrate and be humble. It's fine. Like, this is also what you do. Whatever your job is, this is what you're doing and why you do it. So book the stuff or get the promotion. It's great.
I know.
But it's a weird thing that I have to sometimes just really actively work myself out of saying. Because before you know, you can be like, so I booked that commercial thing. Yeah, it was great. Like,
just downplaying your successes.
Live your life. It's fine. Just celebrate it because life's too short, guys. It's too short.
It is.
Nah, for sure. But with you just now sharing about, I guess, maybe having some concerns or just fears around your first pregnancy, did you have the right kind of support for that? I guess from a medical space, like our systems, rather than friends and family?
I think if I had wanted that support, it would have been there. So I did, when I had my booking appointment, when you're like, I don't know, 16 weeks? I can't remember now.
Yeah.
Or 8 weeks, I don't know. So, God. I don't know. At some point, you have an appointment and they take your history and they ask you if you've had any mental health issues. I did mention anxiety because that's something that's always been a kind of a part of me. And they do offer you more help. And then I did go in a few times because of reduced movements and like to get put on for monitoring. And then obviously that is kind of a bit of a red flag for them. So they're like, you know, is this anxiety? Is this, you know, something that is going on with the baby? So I think the help is there. Okay. I actually have to say, after I'd had Ray, when was it? It was about a year after. So Ray has a lot of allergies.
Okay.
And they are life-threatening allergies.
Oh,
so
wow.
she has had anaphylaxis before at home when I was on my own with her and Tim wasn't at home, which was really horrible.
Of course.
And that's when we finally got like EpiPens and stuff for her.
Right, okay.
And then she had a recent one actually, but it was in clinic where she was there for a food trial. So I've seen her in quite a scary situation, and that did bring up a lot of anxiety for me. So about a year ago, I did actually self-refer for some therapy on the NHS, and it came through so fast. So I think when you're a new parent or you're pregnant, the NHS is there for you.
I agree.
They bump you up.
Yeah, I do think you've got really good support, and I think everyone's quite. I gave birth in Homerton Hospital, and phenomenal. Like everyone is just so on it, happy to talk to you, double checking with you that everything's okay, triple checking stuff. There definitely were things that I could pick apart, or you can tell the difference between someone who's very experienced and them having a certain sort of understanding immediately of what's going on with you versus someone who's a lot fresher and or greener, and they're triple checking stuff in a way that someone else wouldn't. There was definitely moments of that, but a minor in comparison to how terrible it could have been if I was elsewhere.
You hear some stories.
So that's really great to hear that you also had that experience where you did have the support if you needed it, and they really stepped up, which is dope.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think the maternity services are stretched generally.
Yeah.
So, like, birthing experiences vary so much from person to person.
Yes, true.
I had Ray at home because I really felt like that was going to be where I was going to feel the safest.
Yeah. Which is so important, right?
Yeah, exactly. For a birth to progress in that way.
Yeah.
But so I went into labour on Christmas Eve.
Wow.
In the early morning of Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh my God, this is not happening right now.
No, I remember seeing that on your socials. I feel like, was your first meal like your Christmas dinner or something?
Yeah. She was at the table.
Amazing. I love that. Love that.
My
days.
But because of that, there was no home birth available, like midwives available. My local hospital, the birth centre, was shut and it was full. It was like no room at the inn. Like,
oh my gosh, jeez, what was that like though?
Well, I mean, thank God for my family. They hid it from me. My sister is a midwife. So that was like, my God. Yeah. She was there. Amazing. She was on the phone, like she was ringing her friends. She was literally like, I need somebody to come here, please. And they hid it from me. I mean, I was just in my hole at that moment in time. I was really in established labour. So I didn't know until afterwards.
Woo!
It all turned out great. It was all fine.
Amazing.
But you just think, these experiences can all be so different because it's so stretched. But I do think the mental health support is there in the system. Amazing. So thank God for that.
Yeah. Obviously, at the time with your first pregnancy, I guess you would have done certain types of research because of what your medical history was like already. But I guess I wanted to ask you, in terms of understanding your rights or birthing choices and things like that, what you could take, not take, what you could push back on if you wanted to. Did you have easy or readily accessible access to that kinds of things, or not really? I know you said your sister's a midwife, so maybe you were aware of certain things already. Yeah,
she trained me.
Nice, okay, good.
Like,
dope.
She trained me, and she, at the end, it got really tough because I did start having like induction pushed on me, and so in those moments, to try to stay headstrong when you have authority figures, it's like we're trained to
just submit to that. Yes,
exactly.
Yeah.
So I would literally be on the phone with her every evening, like, this is what they're saying, and she was just like, Lauren, remember what we've talked about, remember the outcomes, remember this, that. So I had that information. I was really lucky that she had, I guess, like, indoctrinated me. But like, that's what I needed in the best possible way. That's what I needed. I don't know how accessible the information is. There are certain like birth workers on Instagram who are screaming from the rooftops right now, and so the information is there if you look for it. I think people aren't looking for it because they don't know any different.
Yes.
So I had an NCT group that we did 8 couples. Nobody had even thought about having a home birth. Nobody had even thought about. They didn't know the rates of things that change in hospital, or the rates of things that change from having an epidural, or they just didn't have the information. They didn't know they could decline things.
Yeah.
That
was a big learning for me as well. Yeah. For sure. Everything my friends around me were falling pregnant, having their babies, etc. Successful pregnancies or not successful pregnancies, so a whole spectrum of things. A huge part of me was very much, well, you're hearing the stories, cool, and you'll just figure it out. So there's an element of that. And very much, women have been doing this for thousands of years, etc., etc. Your body knows what to do, all that kinds of stuff. But I'm also definitely that geek over there. Like, I'm a Google all kinds of stuff. I'm a talk to people about all kinds of stuff. So I definitely fell into that space too. And then I discovered a whole bunch of people online, on socials, sharing this information, and then understanding what hypnobirthing was like, and whether or not it's for you or not, or what happens in that space. So that was great. And because of the type of person I am and personality that I have, I went looking for things. And this is what kind of, again, pushed this podcast space as well, because not everybody's like that or wants to be like that or would even think that they could do this type of research easily. And so it's very scary how much we don't know, how little we're taught, even understanding how to get pregnant, regardless of your medical history.
Oh my God, yeah.
Like, you're taught and you're trained so well as to how not to get pregnant. When it's the other way around, it's like, oh wait, sorry, so wait, I've got to do maths on ovulation. Like, so what is ovulation? Do you know what I mean? Oh my gosh! And like, my age changes this, and like maybe your ethnicity might impact stuff. I mean, does it? Who knows? But like, it's just like it's
anything,
right? So it's so scary and phenomenal to know that this is such a natural part of what we do if you choose to go down the route of motherhood. And information is a bit lacking.
It's really lacking.
Excuse me. So it was a phenomenal journey in terms of the learning and research. That was dope. But it's true, if you're not that way inclined, you just won't know. And if you don't know that you can decline stuff, especially if you don't need it or if you don't want it, you're just going to be there saying yes to things and then absolutely stressed and shitting yourself because you're now in a situation that you didn't want to be in, but you didn't know how to say no.
And that affects the birth.
Yeah, which is, again, mental.
I know.
And I'm hopeful for more light on these spaces and not... sorry, I was about to kind of say I want more information and more light on stuff, but I guess it's not stuff that people are going to be shoving down medical staff's face for the sake of it. Of course not. And I know there's an element of they've been doing this and they're trained for this, so they do know what they're talking about, etc. But I'm so hopeful for a more supportive and more cohesively supportive space, because this is such a phenomenal experience and it is truly, truly beautiful
and life changing.
Yeah, I mean, it is all those things. And if there are ways in which we can kind of focus on that positive side of it, like I think it just changes the whole experience for people, because you do hear this happened and it was terrible, or that was awful and that was awful, and it's like it just didn't even have to be that way.
It doesn't at all. And I had such a beautiful experience. I mean, how was your birth experience?
So mine was dope in terms of, let me see, we had like a false alarm moment, and then because I was like, oh, okay, this feels different and this doesn't feel Braxton Hicksy. Okay, cool, maybe let's go. Had to check, no movement. Someone said to me, when you're having a contraction, you'll know. I was like, right, okay, cool. So then Max had a gig one night, came home, and before he left, he said to my belly, okay, you can't come now. Not yet, I'm going to work. When I come back, because then he had nothing on for a good few weeks. Cool. And then came home, chill, whatever, went to bed, 6 a.m. I woke up to a popping sound, which I didn't even know was possible.
Your waters.
My waters broke. And I was like, what was it broken? So I stood up, and then it was a proper like gush. I was like, okay. And I got so excited. Oh my gosh, she's coming.
Yeah.
So I was like, Max, whatever if you wake Max up, I mean, I would say in general, he is just that high alert guy. So he's like,
oh, is he?
Okay, like
he's awake though.
Yeah, literally instantly. What we doing?
Opposite of Tim.
So he was like, right, okay, ready. So called in and made our way, whatever. But from time I felt my first contraction, it all ramped up very quickly.
Did it?
Yeah. So I would say, so everything started at say 6 a.m. on the dot. She was here by 10:15. So everything was 4.5.
4 hours?
Yeah, 4.5 hours. So it was hella intense. So
yeah.
I knew I only wanted to use gas and air. You'd make the right choices as things progressed, but I knew as natural as possible. Gas and air, I don't really think it did anything for me. Not really. A friend of mine was like, you know what, maybe if you laboured for longer, maybe you would have just built up.
It sounds very intense.
More to it. But it was super quick. So I was like, if it took the edge off, great. Scratch my neck. It was hella intense, but I knew that you're gonna handle it. You're gonna have to, first of all. But
there's no other way out
at all. Go through, and so that's what it was. But it was very much using the mantras and affirmations that I had. Hypnobirthing for me, that was probably the area that worked the most for me.
Really?
I think visualization. I think it will happen too quick for me to kind of really ground myself in that space while I'm experiencing something completely new.
Yeah,
and I wanted to be so present to everything as much as I could. So I don't think I had time to kind of, like I said, really solidify or ground that visualization space. So affirmation was what it was for me. We had music in the background. But in terms of like creating a space and lights and
didn't have a chance.
this and sense, no chance whatsoever at all.
Oh my God, that's so quick.
But it was super intense, super quick, and phenomenal to really feel her kind of bobbing down, making her way down the birth canal. I'll never forget that, like at all. And just, again, trying not to give in to fear, but just be highly present to what every part of my body is feeling. So I often describe it as like you're on fire, which is,
It is
but incredible at the same time.
Yeah.
It just these two opposing facts kind of together.
Yeah.
So that's what that was like. And then, you know, you're in my position on all fours, but kind of upright.
Yeah.
Going through what pushing feels like. Again, not what I thought it would be like, even though it's like
part.
you're taking a poo or like it's corkscrewing, whatever.
It's so
not. I just don't know how to.
You never do a poo that big.
No, you don't. And that again was just surreal to know that, okay, she's actually coming and this is how your body's working. And I don't even know. It almost felt like I breathed her out.
That's amazing.
Which is weird to describe, but it's not like a push, which again is very annoying and confusing. So sorry, guys.
But I just think it's so different for everyone, isn't it? So it's like...
What was it like for you?
So I would really like an experience a bit more like that next time, to be honest. Okay. My labour was quite long. So the initial contraction started at like 4 a.m.
Okay.
She was born at midnight the next day.
Wow, okay.
So about 6 p.m. after it started,
I can't even
4 a.m.
Go on,
it was long. 6 p.m. I got in the shower. I was like, some water would be nice. And I think the standing in the shower and maybe the heat, I don't know. Anyway, it kicked off and it got so intense. And the contractions were just relentless. It was back to back.
Same.
And that's when I started to feel scared. Okay. That's when I lost my breathing. And that's when I was literally like, I don't know how I'm going to get through this. Okay. So for me, this time, I really want to be in a space where I can be more present because it was just like, when I think about those few hours where I was waiting for the midwife to come, it's about 3 hours of just being in agony and asking, like, I want some gas and air and obviously not being aware that there's no one to bring it. I feel like those kind of 3 hours where I was just I was kind of just upstairs in our landing and I was going from the bedroom to the bathroom and on the stairs and it's just all felt really, when I think about it, it feels dark. Like it was dark, you know, visually, but I feel like I was scared and I want to try and not feel so afraid this time and want to be a bit more present and I don't want to lose my breathing and I don't want to be so tense. I want to be able to be loose. Obviously, like I always say, I shouldn't really say this, but I'm going to. For me, I always feel like being in labour is the most amount of pain you can ever be in, but not die.
No, I agree.
Like it's
so everyone says that. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
It's like it's so extreme. Yeah. But somehow you're okay.
Yeah, and you know you're gonna be okay. Yeah. And I know every pregnancy is different, every experience is different. Yeah. So I guess I have to say that with a disclaimer. But there is a piece that you have as well. You have all that going on, and you still have that little thought that you can do this.
Yeah, I wasn't like afraid for my life or her life. Yeah. It was literally just like, this is really painful.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. But again, you've had your first experience, and as you said, you know the things that you want to have. Yeah. I think as long as you have that in your head, you're gonna do it. I feel like you're gonna be fine. When baby's here, so how was it? Yeah, you know what? I was so present. It was so this. I know that. No, that's what I'm certain. That's what it's gonna be, and that's what I'm putting out there for you.
Thank you.
For sure. Like, all right. So baby's here. How you have your business?
Yeah.
How did that work with baby number one? Just how?
I think the benefit of being self-employed and running your own thing, whether it's in the arts or it's what I'm doing now or whatever it might be, is that you can work it around your schedule. Yeah. So I just kept up with socials at first because I didn't want to like massively lose my following. Yeah. So I just tried to keep up with my socials, and then eventually I was like, okay, guys, like I'm going to take clients on, but I kept going back and forth on like, do I go back? Do I not? When do I go back?
Yeah, yeah.
And then the gigs came in and I was like, do you know what? That's probably easier to fit around. I can probably just go and work a night, get a decent little bit of money, and then I'm back with my girl. And that for me felt easier to do in the first year. Okay. So I did my first gig with her when she was, well, not with her, but I did my first gig when she was 4 months old. And then I didn't again for another couple months. And then from 6 months, when she was 6 months, that's when I gigged more regularly, like on the weekends. And things like that. And then I just and then I didn't pick up with clients again until she was 1. Okay. And then I was kind of back in the office.
First night on your gig, what was that like? How did you feel?
Oh my God. I felt really weird. Actually, interestingly, that first gig back
Yeah.
after I had Ray,
Yeah.
when she was 4 months old, was when Max told me that you guys
really?
were having a baby.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I never forget that. Like, that's etched in my memory.
Oh, sweet.
So that was, it was really, really lovely because I was like
awesome.
gushing about how amazing it was, and he was like, "Wow."
Awesome.
Yeah. So that it was nice. It felt good to be me,
Yeah. Yeah.
not mum.
Yeah.
It felt really nice to spend some time with Tim on the drive because it was really far away actually.
Okay.
But then it was like, it's the practical things. I need to pump. I need to store this. Have I got enough time? Like, it's that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then typically it was like we were supposed to be back about 2 a.m, and then like the roads were closed.
Wow.
We got completely lost. We could not get on a motorway. We had
my
to phone
gosh.
the police.
Oh,
In the
wow,
end. No,
really?
I'm not joking. Like, we were stuck.
Wow.
There were deers jumping out. I had a migraine because I was so dehydrated
Oh,
from
my
pumping. Like, it
days.
was
Of
bad.
course,
It was
yeah,
bad.
wow.
We were completely stuck. In the end, we had to call like the non-urgent police number and say, "Look, we cannot get home.
Oh my gosh.
Can you
you do?
help?"
Yeah, basically. Wow.
We were running out of
petrol.
petrol. Yeah, they had shut every entrance, and in the end, we had to. They were like, "Oh yeah, actually." Like, they
You
were.
guys really are in a
Yeah, they were like, they took it really seriously.
shit.
We managed to tell them where we were,
Yeah.
and we managed to get home. Got home at 5 a.m. My first gig away. Got home at 5 a.m. Baby girl woke up at 6. So I like snuck into bed.
Oh man.
And then she was just there like, hey.
Hi, Mom.
Yeah.
So I need feeding.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man.
So it was pretty intense.
Wow. Gosh, how did you, obviously you have the stresses of trying to get home, but like with you being away from baby, because you knew you're going to your job, you're going to be away for X amount of time, you're going to be back at this time. What was that like? Did you have any sort of, I don't know if did anything, English, struggling today. It's almost like, because you knew what your window was going to be, and then it got completely changed. How did that make you feel as a new mum?
I was panicking.
Jesus Christ.
I've got like baby brain to the nth degree, so don't worry. It was really tough. I was sad. I was just looking at the clock like, and my mum she's woken up. She's like, "Where are they? They're not home. Are you okay?" And I'm just there like with this blinding migraine because I had got myself into a panic as well. I was like, "Oh my God, I need to pump. I need to leave." I didn't know how much I needed to leave her because she didn't have a bottle.
Right.
So I'm there like over pumping. I was done in.
I get it.
So I'm there like coming in and out of consciousness.
I get
Tim's
it.
just there trying to drive like, "Oh my God, a deer." And I'm literally like, this is hell. So it was really stressful. It was horrible.
Yeah.
But I knew my baby girl was safe.
Yeah.
I knew she was with my parents, and I knew like one thing that I'm so lucky with my parents is that they fully respect our choices in parenting.
Awesome.
So I know that they're not going to be like, "Oh, well, in our day we did it like this," or they don't think they know better. They follow like our instruction, and they raise Ray as we raise Ray.
Yeah.
So it was really like, I knew she was going to be absolutely fine.
Perfect.
It was just like, God, I just really want to be home.
Yeah, I get it. Just even you mentioning the dehydration as well with with pumping or breastfeeding. Yeah, that's also real. I forgot that.
Yeah.
My water intake is also rubbish in general, but
It's making me
yeah,
have some now. I'm like,
have some more. But yeah, breastfeeding definitely put me on my ass on that. So yeah, make sure
hard.
you hydrate, guys, just for life, for your skin, and for your boobs.
For your
basically.
boobs will thank you. I think I've
Literally.
aged like 1,000 years since like giving birth and breastfeeding, and I'm a bit older, and I breastfed for a long time.
How long were you breastfeeding for?
So I breastfed Ray. I was trying to work it out on the way. I think it was 20 months.
Okay.
So it's a
I'm
long
I'm
time.
approaching 18 months.
Okay, so
How long did you think you were going to breastfeed for?
I don't think I ever
Before she
really
came.
knew.
Okay, all right.
I think I knew I wanted to. I was like, do you know what?
Same.
If I can do this for her, like it's a gift. And then because of her allergies, and she had eczema, and
Okay. Yeah.
I knew I actually probably I couldn't put her on a formula really.
Yeah, because again, how's she going to react to that?
I didn't know how she was going to react. So I was like, okay, well this is, and I was enjoying it. It's tough. It was tough.
Yeah.
She's also this kid that doesn't want to sit still. So from like a few months old, she's standing up. She's
Got it.
doing somersaults while attached.
To the nipples. So
Yeah.
your boob and your nipple are going, yep. And then we're going,
And
yep.
she's over there and her legs
Yeah.
are there. And it was like, it was intense. So I was like, do you know what? I'm going to keep doing this. And then she started to get a bit too demanding with it, and she was like pulling my top, and I'm like, do you know what? This is my body, baby girl. I love you, but this is my body. We need to learn some boundaries. And that's when we started to cut down.
Okay.
And we cut down really gradually because I didn't want it to be like, okay, your booby's gone.
Yeah.
So we cut down really gradually, and then I was also starting to think about my fertility again.
Fair.
My ovulation.
Of course,
because I said I'm a little bit older, and I thought, okay, you know, if we want to have a second one, I can't wait around. I don't know how long it's going to take. Yeah. So I stopped breastfeeding. 5 days later, I ovulated.
Oh, my days.
9 days later,
no.
I was like, I'm pregnant.
Oh, my God. Are you kidding me?
No. So I mean,
oh, my God. That's amazing.
I know. I was like, I'm going to get my body back. And then literally 5 days later, I was pregnant.
Okay. Wow, dude.
So I've literally been pregnant or breastfeeding since like April 2021.
And yeah, off we go.
Off we go for another round.
No, yeah, no, of course. But that's phenomenal. Like that was the whole. Sorry, I hold your hands. I'm sorry, but I'm so happy. That's phenomenal to hear.
No, it's incredible.
Wow,
it's incredible. I never thought that it was going to just be like
that
boom,
quick.
Pregnant. I feel so blessed.
Yeah.
Then to have gotten to this point, 25 weeks, I'm like, we're good, you know.
Of course. But I get it. Also, you're missing some things as well. Or you thought things were gonna go a certain way, and it's like, surprise, life.
Yeah, exactly. I just feel like the life has been sucked out of me a little bit. So I keep saying that I'm just gonna, like, once I finish breastfeeding this baby, I'm gonna go to Turkey, and then I'm gonna come back, and no one's gonna recognize me because I'm gonna be snatched.
Lauren
head to toe.
2.0. Okay. Yeah. No. No. I get it. So that must be just. Yes, there are the beautiful and wonderful, grateful moments and stuff, but I guess that must have been tough.
I just want to be real about these things. Yeah. Like,
it's hard.
It's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. How's Tim managing that side of it all, support wise? With you?
He's amazing.
Yeah.
He's amazing.
Awesome.
I literally could not ask for more. He's an incredible dad. He's so hands-on with Ray. Like, they're like two peas in a pod, them two.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're really sweet. He's just really fun with her, and he's been very supportive with this pregnancy, which I found harder.
Yeah.
He's been really great at just, there's no questions asked. It's like, okay, I'll take Ray out. Like,
yeah.
You need a break. It's just, he's just amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. He's very excited as well to become an older sibling.
I don't know.
Sure.
I'm not sure how much she takes in.
Fair.
You know, if I say what's in here, she says baby brother. She knows like what's going on, why my tummy's big. She knows she's going to be a big sister. We bought baby brother a little toy. But I think when it actually happens, she's going to be like, what?
He won't stop crying.
Yeah.
Or he won't cry. Why won't he play with me?
Yeah. Or like, when is he going back where he came from?
Never.
It's like, sorry, baby, he's here to stay.
Forever.
Yeah.
Oh, my days. How has motherhood impacted your creativity? If at all. It might not have.
I think it did. Mm-hmm. I think it does for me. Just because I don't think I've got before, my brain space was literally whatever I was doing.
Yeah.
I could put 100% into that.
Yes.
Now, it's a much, 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 much smaller percentage because the majority of that brain space will always be on Ray. Yeah. And then it's going to be on 2. So who knows what's going to happen. So I think I just don't have it. I don't have the space to put into other things as much. Yeah. But that being said, since having Ray, I've researched, released a course. I've done a whole release campaign.
I didn't realise that. Wait.
Yeah.
I didn't. Oh, awesome.
Yeah. So for me, it was like, had to really get back into that focus space.
Yeah.
I need to put everything into this. Yeah. And so we did that last year. So I think I started writing the course in maybe March last year, and then we released it in September.
Okay.
So we had to get it done. We did a full PR thing. We put so much into it. So Tim was fully by my side. We were fully partners in getting this all done because he did the website and he does all that.
Yeah.
I did the other side, and we did a lot of press, and I had to think on my feet again and get used to answering questions. I'm doing live radio. Yeah. I'm on TV talking about fact.
Do you know what's so funny? When you just said doing TV, I was like, oh yeah, no, I have seen those things, but I don't think I I'm like, oh yeah, Laura's on TV again. That's where my head has gone to, rather than like, oh, she promoted something or working.
No, but I mean, look, you don't have to. Nobody really has to pay attention. But
no, I'm like, oh yeah, it's great.
Nice.
Like I expect to see you there now, which is so jokes. Oh my days.
I mean, it's amazing, like that people, because people are like, oh, Laura, you're doing so well. And I don't think generally people know what I'm doing, but they're like, she's doing things. Yes.
We're here for it.
But I had to really be like, oh wow, I need to get my brain, like this needs to fire. Because I had to really get back into it. But it's creativity in a different way. It's not. I'm not making music. Yeah. But I still enjoy
what you're doing, which is also the purpose of you setting up your wellness business as well. That's the whole thing.
Yeah.
I typically ask parents, because, moms, I guess, what project did they start while pregnant or during pregnancy? Because everyone started a new project or a new project, like something, whether or not they continue with it or not. So I wondered though if it just tied into the course that you were doing, if that was a new thing that you did or not.
Yeah, I don't think
everyone did.
No, I know. People just they use the time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think a lot of people like become a hypnobirthing instructor or like it's kind of baby led as well.
Yeah. Yes.
Like baby massage or
it is.
I don't know if I did because I had the business.
Yeah.
So I qualified 2020.
Yeah.
And then had Ray 2021. So yeah, I don't think I did, but that's always there.
Exactly.
And I'm always needing to put into that to keep it growing. And
can you talk us through your business a little bit more? Like what happens? What do you do? What did it?
Yeah, I'd love to. Yes. Could talk about this stuff all day long. So I'm a nutritional therapist, which with that means that when I see clients, the first appointment we have, this is how I structure personally my business. Yeah. First appointment, I call it a deep dive. It's a 2-hour appointment.
Yeah.
I need to sniff.
Go for it. It's what it is.
Oh, sorry about that. You can cut that bit out if you want. It's a 2-hour appointment, and we go into their like lifestyle, their history, traumas, everything. I look at their diet, I look at supplements, vaccinations, everything, and then from there I take away all that information, and I put them together a bespoke diet and lifestyle plan, and with the intention to heal. Okay. So it's not like I don't take weight loss clients on because I feel like weight loss can be a byproduct of what we're doing. But if you come to me, specifically, I want it to be because you want to heal something and you actually want to treat the root cause of what's going on. Yeah. And sometimes, obviously, weight loss is a part of it. It's often a part of it for most of us. But most of the time, it's not like the root of what's going on. Yeah. Like I'll do bloods for them. We'll find out how they're running. And I also prescribe homeopathy. So it's like an energetic type of medicine that can help to stimulate their healing. And you know, from that first appointment, people often say to me, like, I feel so much better. They have these light bulb moments, or like they haven't had periods for months, and then after the first appointment alone, just from talking, I haven't done anything yet, they're like, oh, my period came. Like, it's really incredible how like just having someone listen to you can help so much.
Random question almost. Is it often referred to as a nutritional therapist? What you do? Do you know what, just when you said that, I was like, I don't know if I've ever heard it, if I've ever heard those two words together. I think I can hear like a nutritionist or sports this or da-da-da, but I don't know if I've ever heard it as a nutritional
I hadn't before I did my course.
Okay.
So I went into the course with the intention of coming out as a homeopath, so I was really interested in that type of medicine. Yeah. And then it was integrated, and they're like, oh, you'll come out as a nutritional therapist. And I was like, oh, wow. But I think the term nutritional therapist is, I think it encompasses what we do. In terms of, it's very much about listening. It's very much about treating the person as a whole and not just looking at calories or whatever. Actually thinking about how is your mental health, how is your sleep, how is your gut health. Like everything is taken into account when we put their plans together. And I focus on women's health because hormonal issues are rife. People are needing IVF more than ever. There's a lot of PCOS, there's a lot of endo. Like women are suffering and we don't know what to do about it. And when we go to the doctors, they put us on the pill, and there's literally no more than that. That's so for me, I was very much like, I should not have had to go back, invest thousands and thousands, go back to school, get a whole new qualification to learn how to heal my body, to be able to get rid of my PCOS symptoms and conceive.
Yeah.
So I was like, do you know what? No other woman's going to have to do this on my watch.
That's amazing.
So I was like, that's why I focus on women's health, because I think men have got enough. We need this. And then that's why I ended up writing the course, because I feel like, obviously, it's not everybody has the means or the excess funds that they can come and see a specialist one-to-one.
Yeah.
So that's why I wrote the course on PCOS, because, again, I just felt like I shouldn't have had to do all of that to figure out that I could actually live a life worth living and not have the symptoms that I was dealing with. But who can, everyone should be able to access this information. So I've priced it at a price point that I think is fair. Yeah. And then it's there.
Go from there.
Yeah.
Oh my days. That's mad. That's amazing. That's phenomenal. I love the ethos and why you're doing it.
Thank you.
But it's just, it really, oh man, I always get like, yeah, but women are so amazing. Why do we have to? I'm always that person. It's,
I know.
I'm trying not to be today at all.
Sorry, and I'm just like, do it, girl.
But it's just so important. And it just, in that moment when you were speaking, it was just highlighting to me again, like how much we just don't know, how much we're just not taught, how much there's an attitude or a feeling, whether or not it was intentional or not, just how much we're quote unquote not important or as important, or where we've just sort of ended up sitting in this space, in this type of society. I know that not every part of the world has these types of ideas or has these types of motivations, but to be in a space where you feel like that, it is wild. And you just don't know until you find yourselves in certain situations, and then you're having to scramble for information, for facts. And food is so important. How you eat is so, so important.
So important.
And we're not really taught that. Not really. I ended up having gestational diabetes towards the very end of my pregnancy. And it was great that they had these sessions and information to help support how you eat. And I was like, you know what? Why aren't we told this before?
Yeah.
And the person I was speaking to was like, do you know what? We just actually doesn't have the funding for it.
Exactly.
And it was so sad to hear, because it's like, even if there's nothing wrong with you food-wise or health-wise, whatever, just to know how to combine certain foods together and when to eat. Or it's so important. It'll make a difference to how you feel, your mood, and your glucose spiking or not or whatever. But there's just not enough time or, money for this. Yeah. And if it's impacting women's health the most, I feel like it's, again, there's definitely no time or money for that. So it's just... It's amazing to hear this. It's so sad that this is what we're still having to combat, but it's amazing to, again, know that people behind us, generations, are not going to have to deal with this at all, Jimmy, which is phenomenal. But fucking hell, mate.
Oh, I know. But I think social media is really a gift in this way, because I feel exactly the same. Yeah. Like I said, it's the NHS is not about prevention. It's like you got the diabetes, then they told you the information. Yeah. They could have told you that information at the beginning of your pregnancy, but they don't. Especially for us, who will have risk factors. Yeah. So we will probably be more prone to it because of our ethnicity. And my dad's diabetics, that was another risk factor. But PCOS, another risk factor. All of those things. If you see that, surely give that person the information.
Yeah. Before, but no. No, that's dope. What I want to ask you, I was going to ask you stuff about your clients. I went, maybe she can't talk about her clients. That's just rude.
Well, they're not specific stuff.
I know, right? I know. I was like, how many people do you have? What are they like? I was like,
generally,
no. Right? How quickly did your business take off? In the sense of how quickly were you able to kind of feel that need for people?
So I was really lucky.
No, I'm sorry, Laura. I'm so sorry. I feel like my questions are so random today.
No, it's all good. I think my brain is random, so it's fine. I was really lucky that I set up my business and qualified in the middle of the pandemic. All of a sudden, everybody was caring about the health. What can I do to support my immune system? It was like the perfect time. So I was one of those lucky people who was like, actually, the pandemic did me a favour. Like I cashed in. So actually, I feel like I built up quite quickly because of that.
Nice. Okay.
I actually feel like it's a weird one. I feel like right now, people are very interested in health, but don't have a lot of excess money that they can invest in their health. Yeah. So I think I'm in a bit of a weird stage of my business at the moment where my credibility is great and my visibility is great and it's all really growing. Yeah. But I don't feel like I'm actually able to help as many people as I want. Okay. Because maybe people just don't. People are struggling right now.
Cost of living
for the
and all
basics.
that, for the umpteenth time. Yeah.
To afford food.
Yeah.
And coming to see a nutritionist is not necessarily what they can use that money on. So I'm putting a lot into just like my socials and putting a lot of information out there.
Nice.
And working on that because that's all free and people can access it and it can still help people.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. It's just such a tricky time. We were talking about this before I pushed record. I was like, don't mention cost of living. I knew it's already come out my mouth. Don't mention houses. No, coming out.
It's there now. You might as well talk about it.
Do you know what I mean? No, it's true. I was going to say, like, no, but on the real, I think because we're so invested in wanting to be better and live better for ourselves and for our families in whatever shape that looks like, I think it is... I can see that coming around where people understand that, you know, as much as I'm thinking about my mortgage, I'm thinking about this, I'm also thinking about my health.
Health as well.
You need, do you know what I mean? That's so key. But like, Lauren and I were speaking earlier, just like, I mean, how are you meant to buy in London? I'm someone who wants to live in London. I do live in London.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I do own in London. Great. But it's like just anything else past that point, it's just like, I don't know how we're meant to live, guys. I don't know. I just don't know.
No.
My mum's she's come back to London for a few months. She's finally got a chance to meet Zena because she's been in Ghana this whole time.
Oh my gosh!
So they met for the first time a couple of weeks ago, which
was
hilarious.
that?
It was hilarious and amazing. Zena's so used to seeing her on the screen, so it was almost like,
weird.
she is. But then it was a bit like, oh wait, but she's actually like 3D. I can actually touch her. So that was hilarious to kind of witness.
Wow.
But one of the first things my mum did after complaining about how cold it is, because again, my mum,
England,
in Ghana, right? She was just like, "Wow, everything's so expensive," and I was like, "Yeah, this is what we're saying."
Insane right now.
I know, which is just like, I sometimes it can feel like how people make it just day to day is just congratulations to you.
Yeah,
and then even when you get paid at the end of the month or whatever your pay cycle is, just watching the money just kind of go in and go out. It's just heartbreaking and I get it. So
I just constantly just looking at my account, just like
there it goes.
It's all gone
there
again.
It goes. Oh, great.
Yeah.
Should we just do more fun things at home? Yes, let's do that. That's not a problem.
I mean, that's the great thing about when the weather's good. Parks.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
It's free.
Yeah.
You've got those things.
Yeah.
But winter is tough because you do need to pay to do things.
Yeah.
And it's expensive. We were talking about childcare. Oh my God.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
The price of childcare, and this is why women cannot afford to go back to work.
Yeah.
Like, we couldn't pay anymore. I think when I'm literally like, okay, how could we pay for two to be in childcare? Because what it's costing us is insane.
Yeah. And I didn't really understand this. I heard this where people say, do you know what, your one partner works full time, one person might be working part time, and essentially your part time salary paycheck is what's paying for nursery. And I was like, oh, okay, sure. But then to actually be like, oh no, for real, these are the prices. You really are paying for your kids nursery care and those fees, which is again stunning. And it's on the flip side, it's almost like sometimes I typically have the thinking of, well, do you know what? I get that because you're putting your kids in someone else's care and it's got to be in the best space possible, etc., etc. But just because you're paying that much doesn't necessarily equate to the best space for your kids in general. I'm not trying to put fear into people when it comes to kids. But it's like, it's just heartbreaking how much you're spending and how much time you're spending away from them. And then it's just, you're in this never-ending sort of loop. And then before you know it, you may have to make the decision to stay at home because how else are you going to make this work? Yeah. Do you know? And then now you're having to handle and face different types of pressures in the home, as well as trying to raise happy, healthy kids with as minimal trauma as possible. We'll see how we do with that.
Yeah, exactly.
But
Time will tell.
Do you know what I mean? But it's just like, it's wild.
Yeah,
I don't know how we're meant to do this. Like, I don't know.
I know. And I don't know, but society is not set up for us to be able to do it. Yeah. Unfortunately. I sound like a bloody conspiracy theorist. But and
I love a conspiracy.
It's like, you can see it. You can see the way society is set up. The emphasis is not on motherhood. No. It's not on, being able to afford to raise your kids necessarily even how you want to. It's very much like penny pinching.
Yeah. But I'm grateful for the spaces where people are trying to challenge that or make differences. Yeah. And I mean, the quote, as we all know, is that it takes a village. It really does. If you're lucky enough to have found or are finding the people in your tribe who are going to help make this space as just that little bit easier. It is phenomenal. Where I live, they have a lot of children's centres. Again, something I knew nothing about until I became a mum.
I didn't.
And speaking to some of the staff that work there, I didn't, again, to my naivety, I suppose, I didn't realise that this isn't a service that's offered in every borough in London. So if you have access to one, it's phenomenal. And they do things like sensory play or teach you how to or help you with breastfeeding or I don't know if your kids have autism or just like cooking or whatever the thing may be. And they work very hard to make this as amazing a space as possible. But to know that not everywhere has that is just like, oh, wow. Just really sad to hear, and also how much you may take certain things for granted, and just also understanding how much of a need, English again, how much of a need for those spaces there are, because it really does make a difference to your day. And I watch how much my kid thrives in that space and how much her socials are developing because she's able to meet more kids her age and kind of play and explore in that way. So
they need that socialization so much,
which is awesome. And then I also feel for people who again had their kids during COVID and them talking about how socialization, how that affected their kids because they didn't have access to certain things.
Yeah.
So it's like everything kind of just really does filter in and compounds each other. And it's true. I'm really thankful for those who are trying to create spaces where familyhood or motherhood or children are at the forefront of what they do and how they work.
Yeah.
Ramble.
We need it. No, but we need it.
Yeah.
We do need it. And I do think having those spaces available, we're really lucky because there's a school across the road from where we live.
Nice.
And there's a children's centre there.
Yeah.
So in the early days, I would take Ray over there. It was so easy.
Yeah.
You know, I also do feel very lucky that.
Yeah.
And I know that we are fortunate in that I was able to book Ray onto classes and we are able to send her to nursery, and I am able to have that time at home where she's not with me, where I can work or catch up with household jobs or rest if I need to. I know that we are so lucky, but I think we're lucky being in London because we do have a lot of options around us.
That's true.
Some more rural areas you won't even have that.
Yeah, that's so true. Random flip of tone and mood. I was going to ask you, what's your biggest love, hate, or takeaway thus far with being a mum? Maybe not hate, biggest struggle. What's your biggest love, biggest struggle, biggest takeaway?
Oh my God.
Thanks to motherhood thus far.
I think love is just being with Ray.
And it's something, as you said, from really early you knew you wanted to be a mum. I
did, and I think that even comes from... Sorry, this cold.
We get it, it's cool.
Oh my God. Thank you, Ray, for that. Thank you, nursery. I think that even comes from how I was raised. I was raised with a very, very loving mum and very involved mum. She was at home with us and we were her everything. And so I always wanted that love around me. And with Ray... I mean, I had that with Tim, obviously, but the love of a child is so different. And the way they just adore you is literally just the best thing in the world. But Tim even said he was cuddling her. She came in from nursery and he was like, I can feel the oxytocin just being with her. Yeah. And it's just so lovely. And watching her grow and how she sees the world and the little things she comes out with. Like Tim said, I'm really happy. I'm always really happy when I'm with... you and Mama, Ray. And she was like, me too, Daddy. Just the fact that she takes those things in. And then Tim got a bit teary because he couldn't believe she said me too. And then she's like, it's okay, Daddy. Like, those little moments are just so lovely. So, love is just like, just being her mum is just the best. And being a family is amazing. Struggle. Ooh, that's a hard one because there are struggles, aren't there? Like parenting is hard.
It is, and I guess it also depends on your space, whether it might be work career thing or whether it's just the household kind of thing or just I don't know, relationship. Do
you know what I think? There's a couple of things. I think adjusting your relationship around having a child is big. For us, it was big. Obviously, it's a very common story. This is what happens. You know, a lot of people say like it takes a year or two for you to come back together again. And I could definitely see that it probably took us a year to really come back together again. I think because of the breastfeeding and the co-sleeping and stuff, it separated us quite a lot physically.
Yeah, that's true.
And then, you know, Tim was working a lot. He was traveling a lot. I was with Ray a lot that first year.
Yeah.
So I think that was a struggle for sure. And then I also have this constant battle with myself where I am a person who always wants to be moving forward. And like, I don't do anything to be mediocre. I strive to be great at whatever it is that I'm doing.
Yeah.
And so for me, like, having pushed London Wellness Coach quite a lot and then having that stall, I found that really hard. Mentally, I actually said to Tim about a year ago, I was like, do you know what? If I'm not going to be able to push London Wellness Coach and actually be great and be successful, make it a success, then I don't want to do it at all.
Okay.
And I really did feel that in that moment when I said it. And obviously the universe is always listening, and then it just sent me a really great opportunity, and then I was back in it. And then obviously with releasing the course, it's actually like propelled London Wellness Coach forward, which has been amazing.
Awesome.
But I always have this thing where I see my peers who maybe don't have kids or have older kids, and they're able to throw everything back into their career again. And I'm just a bit like, oh, I feel a bit stuck. But I have to keep reminding myself that this is not that time. Yeah. I'm trying to be content in the choice that I have made, that this is the time I put into my kids and not into my career. I've had years to put into my career, and I've got this is me now trying to not to be bashful about actually just praising like what I've achieved, but I feel that I've got 2 careers that I've actually done really well at, and I need to just appreciate that I've done that at my age and try to be just content with the choice that I've made now. Yeah. And that is to be a mum. Yeah. And maybe I'm not going to be striving, like pushing, but I can still have successes along the way.
No, and it's going to look different. I think that's something, a lot of what you were saying, it really, really echoed a lot with me. I'm finding it not necessarily difficult, but it's a challenge to, again, you can't put 100% into this anymore. You've got to figure out your splits. Yeah. And you've got to be content with the splits. Yeah. And know that those splits, again, are going to change. So you might do, not 70-30, but whatever it's going to be. Wherever it's going to be, right? Whatever it's going to be, you have to be content with that. Yeah. And the sacrifices there, that's just what it is. And you can't beat yourself up about it. Yeah. You will, though. Yeah. I mean, there hasn't been a single day where I haven't. Do you mean? But you have to have such appreciation for what you've done and what you're doing. And as you said, also appreciate the choice that you've made now to have the life that you have now. So your kids are here, great. You get to enjoy this time with them and be present with them. And you're someone who freelances or you're self-employed. Oh my gosh, your time is set up in a different way where you get to see things that someone in a more corporate space wouldn't get to see with their kids. Wouldn't. So it really is having to take the time to not even, I was going to say be grateful. And it's not just to be grateful for grateful's sake, yawn. It's just like, no, this is actually truly phenomenal that you get to do this. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And then you're going to get time, concentrated, more focused time, and make sure you use that time and be focused and don't pick up your phone and be on Instagram and play games. I do this sometimes. Yeah. It pisses me off. But do you know what I mean? When you do have that focus, concentrating time on work, you're going to work to the best of your ability to get X, Y, and Z done immediately, because when that time is up, it's up.
You're back.
Do you know what I mean? 100%. So like I just, what you said just really echoed, and again, it was just remembering this is dope what you've done, what you're doing, and also where you're at right now is where you need to be, kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Jesus, English has been hard today, Lauren.
Woo! You got it out.
I really hope it's all making sense. But no, because sometimes I'm like, oh my days. I remember when I could just do what? And not sleep because I've done this and this deadline and done this edit and done this, and I learned those lines really quickly, and I learned those songs, and like, fine. Now
the brain
I'm like,
doesn't fire like that anymore.
It's so bizarre that it doesn't. I know. It's so trippy because I'm just like, but I need to live and be a fully functioning individual. But I mean, Max can be talking to me sometimes, and he'll be like, yeah, but I said that, and I'm that person where I'm like, no, I would know if you said it. No, you didn't. He's like, no, I did because I did this and this. So for my, like, not my integrity per se, but for it to be in question is driving me beyond mad, because it's just like, no, because now you're winning arguments that if I was firing on 4 cylinders,
this would not be happening.
So it's a very, very, very funny time in our house, which is hilarious to kind of have to be in that space. But I have to accept it, because guess what? My brain is just doing baby stuff, and baby stuff is
exactly
awesome, so whatever.
Sometimes I feel like we stretch ourselves, so you feel guilty that you're not with your kids enough. You feel guilty that you're not putting enough into your work, and you feel like you're not really doing anything
but you're
to
doing
the best of your ability.
Yeah,
but you're doing everything.
Yeah,
and we have to just try to give ourselves a bloody break.
Yeah, man. That's so true. And you know what? On that note, I'm going to call it, because that's a really, really lovely note for everyone to take on board. Lauren, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.
Honestly.
Lovely.
Can you tell us again where to find you, be it music, be it nutritional therapy? Let us know.
Okay, so my Instagram is where I kind of put up a lot of stuff, and you can feel free to DM me. So that's a London Wellness Coach. Website londonwellnesscoach.com. For PCOS girls, the complete PCOSplan.com is where you can get the course. I mean, my music stuff is there at Lauren Johnson UK, but I don't tend to post so much.
How come? It's just time, or just focus?
It's focus.
Yeah,
it's focus. Like, I still gig and it's still ticking on, but my growth, where I'm trying to grow, is over on the nutrition side. So that's where I kind of put,
Because, girl, you can sing.
Oh, thank you.
I remember the first time I heard you sing, I was like, Lauren. I'm trying to think. I think it was at a friend's wedding, and I didn't know. Everyone there was heavily musical, musicians, singers, whatever you do. And so it was great to see everybody just kind of come up and sing and sing. And I think that was the first time I'd heard you sing in person. I was like, oh, this is great. So yeah, guys, go check her out.
Thank you. No, I appreciate that.
Hey loves, before we sign off, just a quick note to remind you that everything shared on this episode is based on personal research and personal experiences, lived experiences. I hope we were able to give you some food for thought, but please make sure you conduct your own research and speak to your healthcare professional if you have any questions or concerns. Okay, with love, catch you on the next one.